All right, welcome back to Sage Collector Car Services. Here working on Sully the Notch. Numbers matching 1500cc single port with a side draft carburetor, and bumping into some pretty regular and understood issues with old Volkswagen motors, not the least of which is to do with the pretty consistently high volume of this stud was broken, this stud was broken, these were both, this one was broken and this one was broken, not to mention the broken screws and the sheet metal. The main shroud I've got over on the workbench, getting it all straightened out. Drilling and tapping and fixing broken hardware is not uncommon on machines like this. Certainly on when small fasteners like these little slotted head screws are used. And then, like in this case, this car was delivered to Iceland, and I've never been to Iceland, so I don't know the general environment of the place, but this is a fairly small M6x1 sort of little, and they always have this reprehensible little flathead. But you know, so those go into the sheet metal, and they hold it to the head, and they hold it to the exhaust, and they hold it to, you know, around they hold it to themselves. And so the same idea, if this bolt is broken off here, well, that's a little bit easier. You can get to both sides. I have found that this little inductive heater has really come in handy. This thing was given to me by another client named Ken, who's Datsun NL320 and Fiat Dino Coupe. I've got it kind of in my care, custody, and control with the shop here. And so this inductive heater has been really helpful. When the bolts are broken off and it's underneath something, in this case, it's in this block of cast iron, the threads penetrate all the way down to this tapped threaded hole, which mimics this same idea as this for the other side, where this heat riser tube brings hot exhaust gases through the intake manifold and lets it rest at the intake manifold. Side draft carburetors are particularly known for less than great operation, and that operation is assisted by preheating the fuel flow through the intake tube, which is here. So in this case, this is an understandable process there. It comes through this little flapper, which also, as they always are, is seized up. So step number one is to get this cast iron block off of these frozen studs, and secondarily then being able to free up this flapper so that it works thermostatically like it's supposed to allow this side of the exhaust flow controls the whole flow for the system. So when this thermostatically opens, that allows exhaust to come from this far side up through this tube and then return to circulation here and exit out the muffler on this side. Pretty rare to find a muffler in this good a shape. It's got blue overspray all over it, just because that's the way they did the whole car. You can see that there's blue overspray here on the heat exchanger as well. Unfortunate, because it would be so much cooler without all that. Also, it would be cooler without the frozen bolts, without the bolts that are stuck. But I've got this thing prepared, and it's going to fit over the entirety of this block. And I'm going to give it a whirl here. I've been soaking this already to no avail, trying to smack on it and get this loose. It is welded on there, man. It is for sure not wanting to come off. But I just wanted to bring you guys along for the ride and see what we can get figured out by using this inductive heater. As soon as it's plugged in, the fan comes on, and it absolutely... I don't know what the purpose of the fan coming on automatically is, other than to self-protect, but it absolutely makes talking a little bit worse. So air is brought in through here, and it cools the induction portion, and then the air is blown out the front. which seems counterproductive to cool the thing that's getting hot. It only activates when you push the button. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. This one's called HotRod. There are other versions. Let's just give it a whirl and see what gives. I got my hammer here ready. Get my safety glasses on. Safety third, kids. I've not tried this before with a large, some, big bulk of steel like this. I don't know how long it's going to take to heat it up or what the end results are going to be. But if you don't have an inductive heater for your shop, I just want to put a plug in. And again, HotRod, this brand name, has been working great. There are other ones out there, but I would highly recommend that you get one if you don't have one. They make short work of if you've got any sort of length of stud sticking out, any part of the bolt that's left up. Hey, we got some smoke. It does make short work of it. So again, it's a 10 out of 10 for sure. Would recommend. I think my intention here, my hope here, is to heat up this entire block where this pivot is, and get this whole thing to want to let go, because the entire length of that stud shaft from the base plate where it mounts all the way to the top, which is where it broke off, below the surface there, that whole thing is rusted as a straight column, solid through. And I've already tried soaking it and smacking on it, and it to no avail. So let's just see what this thing will do. It's putting out some good smoke signals right now. I don't know if it's gonna do more than that, but I'd like to see it set this whole thing free. And in cases like this where you can't, you could drill the whole thing out. It's a solid bolt all the way through that entire cast piece. It just gives a lot of potential for, for an errant drill bit or whatever. And then God forbid you should break the drill bit, right? Or then God forbid you should break the tap. So, or the extractor or whatever. And for a lot of you guys, this is familiar territory. You already know how this machine works. But for those of you that don't know, I thought this would be a good chance to give you a little moment in the life of Sage Collector Car Services. I have had some really well-intentioned people say, hey, Kaya, you should take us along in your pocket and show us what your day looks like more often so we can see what you guys do there. And I guess this is an attempt at doing that. All right, let's see what gives. We'll let that free float off the end of the workbench, so it's not touching something. I'll be snookered. That, just kidding, I wouldn't grab it like that. That didn't take long. It seems like it set itself free already. Pretty good cavities around both of the stud pockets, here and here. It seems like it wants to be free. I'm going to go grab a pair of pliers and see if we can't get that sucker pulled off of there. It's definitely free. It's moving independently, so... Man, that thing was not budging before, and now it did. Came out real clean. The holes are clean through. Butterfly's intact. I'm going to set that here on top of my steel workbench. These old boxes have been great. I love them. I love that they've got all their organizing pieces in here, a bunch of brass fittings and stuff still in there. Materials, research. I love it. This makes me real happy. So now we can put on a little smaller fitting on the end of this hot rod and just surround each of these studs, and let's see if we can get those to come out on their, you know, not on their own, but with some gentle coaxing. Let's see what happens. Get my smallest one here. The smallest one that this thing came with had been used the most when I got it, and so it, as a result of its abuse previous to me and also in my care, it broke. This section right here shows when this insulating cloth wears out. It just seems to superheat that space. But let's see if we can get these little suckers to want to come loose. I'm going to grab myself a pair of vice grips. I'm not sure if you can see that already, but it's already glowing orange. I think the vision behind this is that it just decimates that oxidized metal layer around each of the threads, and gives it a chance to kind of just dissipate into dust. And then when you apply any sort of torsion to it, it seems like it wants to free itself up quicker by some miracle of science. All right, let's see what we get here. All right, we got some rust out the bottom of the hole already. And so with that squeaking noise, generally that kind of means that the threads are free. Often I'll douse it with I really enjoy this power lube, this CRC power lube. It's been great for me, although I use PB Blaster, or I use, well, there's several different products that I use. I also like Aerocroil, that Kano product, but this seems to have done the trick, and I'll bet you anything that this will free itself up even more here in a minute. Of course, I'd like very much for it not to break. That's kind of the sort of the goal, is that it would just gently release itself and not have to not make my life any worse. Or, you know, in this case, I happen to enjoy the customers. They're friends and they're really good people, and I enjoy the project. I like Type 3s a lot. I've owned 14 Type 3s in my lifetime. I've had a 64 notch. I haven't had any earlier than that. I had a 64, early 65 squareback. I think it was a 64 production, but it was a European, it was an S model with a crankback metal sunroof. And man, I love that car. God, if I could get that car back, that would be a dream come true. But well, it's the sound of success right there. I'm gonna let this thing find a home on the concrete, not in my shoe. Get this gasket out of the way, and let's give it a whirl. Let's get the other one going. Just because you're along for the ride. It's just amazing how fast it's already glowing orange in the middle of the coils. I wish you guys could see that. I don't know if that's evident to y'all. It might be all it takes. Now, for some reason, my vice grips are hot. I'm not too sure why that would be. Not sure what would have warmed them up like that, but give this a little smoke show here. And we're free. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Yeah, pretty impressive little tool. Again, 10 out of 10 for that one. Highly recommend that you get yourself a hot rod if you don't have one. But for now, I'm just going to wire wheel all this. I'll clean all that up, and there will need to be new fasteners clearly figured out for it. They do bolt from the top. So the studs would, come up from this bolted flange or threaded flange, which mimics this one on this inside. And again, the exhaust flow comes from this side of the port through that little flappy guy and runs back through this way. And there'll be gaskets and fasteners, of course, at both points. But, well, that's the update from Sage Collector Car Services. Do look for more. Follow along. Don't forget, you need to be hitting something, smashing something, pushing something, clicking something. Appreciate you guys. Oh.